Dane Rowe was an icon in Britain's 1960s motorcycle society and later became a successful sidecar passenger. Today, she lives in Switzerland, where we visited her to her 75th birthday for an interview. Way in the beginning, and when was the first time you fell in love with the motorcycle, and how you continued to riding your own motorcycle?
With the motorcycles, it was, I don't know how old I was, maybe 11 or 12, and I was visiting my grandmother, and I used to take the bus, get off the bus, and I walk up the road, and on the left was a motorcycle shop, and it was a sunny day, and I just looked in, and there was a motorcycle there with a mechanic lying underneath it fixing the bike, and his hand was going like this, and then he must have seen my feet, and he said, "Could you pass me that spanner or something?" I think it was I don't know, some kind of a spanner. And so this one, I gave him that, and I just stood there watching him, and it was just an experience for me, you know. And then afterwards, on the way, I went to visit my grandmother, came back again, and he'd finished the bike by then, and we chatted for a bit, and he took me home on the motorbike. Yeah, which was very kind of him. I mean, you wouldn't do that today. Yeah. You know, I mean, the weirdos around today. Yeah. So, and that's how I sort of started, you know, motorcycle. And it was the workshops, you know, it had this special smell, and, you know, oil. And not just oil, it was oil and leather and just smells, you know, and that sort of really got me, yeah. So when I was old enough, I bought a very old C11G, a BSA C11G. It was ancient, and it hardly ever ran. That was my first bike, and then I passed my test on that, and then I got a Triumph, a 350 Triumph. Yeah,
That's nice. What was it like being the only girl at the club?
The 59
Yes.
Club? Oh no, I wasn't the only girl. I was the only active, you know, girl rider there. It was okay, you know, I didn't expect any special treatment, you know, I was just one of the gang, you know, one of the crowd. When we used to go Sunday runs, I used to just, you know, ride with them. There was nothing special then, being the only girl rider amongst hundreds and hundreds of boys, you know, I never felt anything special, you know, I was just one of the club, you know, I think it's the way you think, you know, if you want to make yourself special, push yourself forward, oh, well, you know, I'm a lady rider, I've got my own bike, then they'll treat you differently. But if you sort of get in there, you know, and because I started to work at weekends in a motorcycle shop, a different one, John Hall's it was called, and they were the Triumph and BSA agents, so I knew an awful lot about Triumph spare parts. And so if people had a problem with their Triumph, they used to say, "Go and ask Dane." And I could say, "Oh yeah, you need, let's a minute, what size is it? Yeah, you need this part number, you know." And so I was just one of the crowd, you know.
You just kind of belong to it.
Yeah.
How did you get into racing?
We had a neighbour over the road, across from our house when I was younger, and Marie, her boyfriend, used to race in club races, and one day they asked if I wanted to go with them to a race, you know, just to watch, and I went with them, and I'd never seen sidecar racing before, and I saw these, you know, passengers, you know, hanging out and, you know, racing, and I thought I could do that. Doesn't look very difficult, you know, I'd like to do that. And so the next time they took me, Mark, the rider, he had a spare set of leathers which he'd found somewhere, and they were too small for him, but they fit me, and a helmet. And so we used to take those with us to races, and I used to just hang around, and very often at club races, you know, a passenger didn't turn up. So there used to be a tannoy, you know, on the loudspeaker, "Is there a passenger here without a ride?" And I remember once it was, I can't remember if it was Oulton Park or Lyddon or somewhere, and I went along and I said, "I'm a passenger," and you didn't need a licence then, you see, for club races, you just went. And that was when I had my first ride. And I enjoyed it. It was good fun.
And then it just kept going?
Yeah. and I got more experience, better riders, better results, Grand Prix license.
What is the biggest difference being in a sidecar and riding your own motorcycle, and what do you prefer, like, between those two?
Actually, I think I preferred sidecar racing. I preferred being a passenger because, first of all, everybody was going the same way, and there were no lunatics on the road. You know, I mean, these days, you know, you're riding along and some idiot overtakes and, you know, can hit your head on, or, you know, road surface is different, and, you know, a circuit is looked after. You know, the surface is usually clean, or if it's rainy, well, it's rainy for everybody, you know, and not for one twit who comes around the corner and swerves and hits you. So as far as that's concerned, and I think sidecar racing was more fun. You know, it was also being part of a big family, but it was just more fun. Yeah.
It felt like maybe because with sidecar you were like in a passenger and like somebody was riding along with you.
Yeah, I had to rely on him not to do anything silly.
What was your favorite moment during your whole career?
Meeting Rudy.
Meeting Rudy.
Yeah, definitely meeting Rudy. That was life-changing. And otherwise, I can't really say. It was all, you know, it was all great experiences. You know, every different country, and I think it was also the thing with Yamaha. You know, getting our first cat from Yamaha, and being able to buy the house. You know, having our own place now. You know, instead of having to rent, and you know. Yeah, I think those were the two things, Yamaha and Rudy.
So in 2015, there was Kiesi, I can't really pronounce her name, Kainulainen, and in 2020 there was Emmanuel Clement, who became world champion as a sidecar passenger.
Yeah.
And how do you think the role of women changed in the past years in motorsport? And do you think it would have been possible for you to become a female passenger world champion?
Oh, definitely, yeah. I mean, with Bill Copson, I think I don't know where we finished in the World Championship because we weren't able to do all the races, but, you know, I mean, there was Aga Neumann before me, and they were always very high up in the World Championships. You know, she was German passenger, lady passenger, but she finished just as I came in.
Yeah.
And with Aga being German, you know, she was, how can I say, it was a language thing.
Yeah.
You know, she couldn't give that many interviews because she didn't speak English. But, you know, fortunately, you know, I speak several languages, so, you know, it was just different for me. It was, you know, I got more publicity somehow. I didn't look for it. I didn't go seeking it. You know, it just sort of came to me. Yeah. So, changes, I don't know. I think I know that there was a couple of lady Formula One drivers, but it's the factories, you know, like McLaren and, you know, Ford and whatnot. You know, I think they test drove, or one lady, it was on the radio a few weeks ago, she did a test drive for some British racing thing, but she didn't just quite reach the speeds and the times of the men.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's going to be very long until, you know, we see a really good Formula One lady driver. Because of course there was a Formula One for women. Yeah. But hardly known, you know, very little known, and just little circuits and that in England. But it'd be nice. I know there's a couple of lady drag racers.
Yeah.
You know, drag racing.
Yeah.
But there's a couple of women doing that, and they're very successful. And I think also in NASCAR, there's one or two ladies which are pretty good, you know. But Formula One, it's a hard sport, you know, the distances and the speeds you need, and, you know, it's tough.
I mean, there was also one who's now in Moto3, I think, Anna Carrasco.
Yeah.
When she was in World Super Sport 300 or something, she became world champion, and then she also changed now to Moto3. And right now she's still not as good, but she's still in it.
Yeah, well, good for her.
Yeah, it's quite amazing to see that sometimes, like, different changes, not only you see boys or stuff like that, you can also see a few girls.
Yeah, yeah. I think also with, especially with Formula One, I mean, you've got to be ruthless. You know, you've got to be really nasty. I could name names, but I won't. But and women can be ruthless, but not as drivers. Women are much more careful drivers. They're much more likely to, you know, they're in the lead and somebody wants to overtake them, and they're more likely to say, "Okay, come on," you know, and instead of really fighting it out. I think that's one thing. Yeah, women aren't as ruthless. Women are kinder.
So that means you still watch some motorsport stuff?
Yeah, Rudy does.
Rudy?
You know, I just sort of now and again, you know, depending on who's winning and that. Yeah.
When you're watching, do you like more watching it, or do you enjoy more like? I mean, obviously you're probably gonna enjoy more riding it, but it's like, is it like different to see like now with like all the different changes that like the motorcycle are faster and stuff like that, like when you see it on the TV?
You know, when I watch it on TV, we usually have a favourite rider. I mean, it used to be Rossi. You know.
Yes.
And yeah, Rossi, yeah, come on. But and as far as Formula One goes, there are drivers we definitely do not like. You know, and I asked Rudy, who won Formula One? Oh, it was so and so. So Rudy's more into Formula One than I am. And now and again, you know, if there's bike racing on, you know, we watch that. But we don't know anybody anymore. You know, apart from the Haslam Sipper, you know, the Haslam clan. That's a name that we know. But even in sidecars, you know, we don't know them anymore. They're all new.
Yeah.
You know?
How did it feel like moving from London? That was the coolest for young people in the late 1960s to Switzerland. That is more like a conservative place.
Yeah.
What do you think was like the big difference? Like, were you homesick during that time, or like?
No, I've never been homesick. Never.
Wow.
The only thing I really miss in England, or from England, is Cadbury's chocolate. And English chocolate has got to have, when I buy here, like Mars Bar, Milky Way, the code has to begin with a 7, which means made in England. If it's 5 or 3 or something, it's not made in England, I don't buy it. Swiss chocolate is very nice, but I can't eat it. It gives me stomachache. But English chocolate, I have no problem with. Because you probably read in another interview about our home life, you know, I mean, it was miserable and being beaten and that. So I lived on just out to the west of London, and it was okay there. It was fine, you know. I enjoyed it. Went to university there, and I used to work in a biscuit factory at night to earn some money. And of course, coming here, I hardly spoke. I spoke French, and I started to learn German from a book. But of course here they speak dialect, which was a bit difficult. So it took about 6 months for me to get into the dialect. But here, I couldn't go and live in a town again. You know, I mean, we're here in the countryside, you know, you can look out everywhere is green. You know, we get the animals coming at night, you know, deer and foxes and rabbits and, you know, things. So I was never homesick. I love Switzerland. I absolutely love it. It's my home.
Yeah, that's nice. Was it hard for you to learn German? Like,
no, because I had this book called Teach Yourself German.
Okay.
And at night in the biscuit factory, I also had a cassette, and I used to put my little earphones on, and I used to learn German while I was packing cakes and biscuits, you see, at night. And I always find language is very easy. You know, I mean, French, I'm nearly fluent, but I never had to learn it. It was like there, you know. And Italian, you just need to listen to it, and you can speak it. You know, I never had a problem with learning languages. So, you know, German was fine. But I always felt a bit weird having to speak High German in a shop. Instead, and so, you know, my sister-in-law, Rudy's sister, who's died since then, she used to explain Swiss German words, you know, which weren't obvious at first.
Yeah.
And one day I woke up and I was able to speak Swiss German. Just sort of It's like a little door that opened in the night.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
So I heard you studied photography, I think?
Photojournalism.
Yes,
yeah.
and you wanted to be either a police detective
Yeah,
or...
I wanted to be a detective, but I was too small. I was too small. I was half an inch.
Oh,
Too
really?
small for the police.
Wow.
Yeah. They've lowered it since then.
Yeah.
But then you had to be, I don't know, 5'6" or something, and I was only 5'5.5".
Oh.
But I was a police cadet. That was like Girl Guides, you know, but for boys and girls, you know. And I learnt a lot from the police cadets. You know, a lot of logic. You know, they used to teach, you know, trained your logic. You know, I'd like to have been either a detective or an archaeologist.
Yeah, and then you also are an expert in ancient coins.
Yeah.
And then you also like promoted
rock concerts, in the Z7.
Yeah, and like it's all such different things. Is there any like correlation to one another, or was it just really like random stuff that you found interesting? Like,
well, there is a correlation between archaeology, which I wanted to be, and ancient coins, and police, because you need logic. When you get an ancient coin, and you can make out the legend on the front, so you know who it is if it's a Roman coin. But if it's a coin written in Greek, and you have to work out the Greek, which is simple, you know, Greek alphabet is very easy. But not always do they have a city name on it.
Yeah.
It's not like today when you get Germany and France and that. Back then, it was the city magistrate who had coins minted in his name. And of course there was a new magistrate every 2 or 3 years. I mean, there are literally millions of different coin variations. So for that you need logic and a bit of detective work, you know. Where was it found? Could it be from a town in that area where it was found? So, and then the rock music, that's also more the motorcycle side of it, because rock, you know, heavy metal is very stand up for yourself. You know, you're not a sheep, don't follow all the others with their trends, you know. And that's where the rock music came in. And I organised one concert which was a total failure. I lost a lot of money on it. But then I joined up with the Z7 in Prattlin by Basel, and I'm still vice president of the Z7. You know, I made the first website for that, and because, you know, I got to know a lot of bands, and, you know, they tell friends, "Oh, you ought to go and play at the Z7 if they ask you." So, you know, we have a good program now. You know, we've got great names. Motorhead played there 3 times. Alice Cooper. Manfred Mann, which is before your time, my dear. No, lots of good names played there.
Alright, for the last question, we're going to go back again to motorcycles a little bit. So when exactly did you stop like racing and stuff like that?
1977 was our last, the Ulster Grand Prix in Northern Ireland was our last race.
And then after that you still rode motorcycle on your free time, or?
Yeah, because after that, because of my languages, for the next 4 or 5 years, we used to fly to Silverstone, and I was paddock speaker, you know, in the office. So, you know, people came in and didn't speak English, you know, I was there to translate, and also paddock announcements and that. And also then at Donington, I was also worked there for, I think, 2 years, you know, just for the weekend. And then one weekend, was that Silverstone, or I think that was at Donington, and they had some conference or something at Brands Hatch, and they needed an interpreter at Brands, but I was in Donington, and the conference was for Monday and Tuesday, and so they sent a helicopter for me.
Wow.
Yeah, helicopter just for me, and flew me down to Brands Hatch for this conference, and then flew me back again because my car, you know, I went over my Jaguar, my car was at Donington. So I worked as interpreter at Brands Hatch for this Formula One conference.
During that time, have you ever wanted to like go back to racing again, or was it clear for you, like?
It was pretty clear, you know. I mean, we had a wonderful time. We travelled all over Europe, you know. We never never really went outside of Europe apart from East, Czechoslovakia, places like that. But no, it's a chapter of your life. You can't look back.
Yeah.
You can only look forward. You can look back and think, oh, that was funny. Oh, that was great. But mind you, I mean, if somebody came along today and said, just for a demonstration race, Dane, would you ride passenger? I think I probably would.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah,
It
you're
was
very welcome.
great to know your story, and it was great to know you too. Yeah.